Today on CityCast Nashville, we're talking trash. Literally. The landfill that takes nearly all of Nashville's garbage is almost full. So where's it all going to go? We're joined by State Senator Heidi Campbell, who says her Tennessee Waste to Jobs Act could turn that trash problem into thousands of new jobs and billions of dollars for our state. It's Tuesday, October 28th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. How much trash do we generate here in Davidson County?
So the Tennessean says that we are generating more than 1.1 million tons a year, which that was in 2022.
So it's probably a lot more now.
Yeah, exactly. And to give some perspective, in 2018, it was only 968,000. Wow. So you can see how fast it was rising then. But the 13 counties overall in Middle Tennessee produced 2.6 million tons of trash in 2022.
Oh, my goodness.
It is a lot.
That is a lot. Where does our trash go right now?
Well, here in Nashville, most of our trash goes to Middle Point Landfill, which is right really in the middle of Murfreesboro. And it is now the second largest landfill in the country and could possibly become the largest if they expand it. There's this constant battle going on there right now. They have the council's voted not to do that. But it's super complicated because we have a law called the Jackson Law here in Tennessee. And that law allows municipalities to refuse to have landfills built in their communities or to expand them. And so it's problematic because everybody is NIMBY, not in my backyard. And so our landfills across the state are at capacity. We are running out of space to bury our trash. We are 48th in the country for recycling. I grew up here and I love where I grew up, but we're not good about trash. We think our trash just kind of magically disappears when we throw it away, and it doesn't. And we generate a lot of waste here in Tennessee, and we have got to do something about it. And the thing that we do about it should not be building more landfills and burying more trash.
In February, Mike Klassen, general manager of Middle Point Landfill, told WKRN Middle Tennessee is in a capacity crisis. Right now, Metro Nashville, the curbside waste that comes from all of our houses, all of that material goes to Middle Point Landfill in Rutherford County. And we would say we're no longer going to accept that material. So, where are we going to put that now?
Well, I have a legislative solution, so glad you asked. That it would not solve the problem, but it would significantly diminish the amount of waste we're putting into landfills. It's called Tennessee Waste to Jobs, and it's a bill that would diminish the amount of packaging that goes into landfills, and we can get into the logistics of that later. But we are going to have to find also some landfill options, and I think there's a push right now in this next legislative session to either modify or eliminate the Jackson Law so that people can be forced to have landfills in their communities. And I am very opposed to that because as a former small town mayor, I think it's really important that we're locally focused, and that people in their communities get to decide what they want to do. It's a big problem living near a landfill. And the people who live near that landfill in Murfreesboro have all kinds of, not just the smell and all of those issues, which are horrible, but on top of it, there's PFAS, which are, chemicals, permanent, forever chemicals, because they never go away, no matter what you do to the water, leaching into the water. It's a health hazard for people who live there. So we really cannot continue to kick the trash can down the road here.
Right. Well, is there anywhere in Davidson County to put our trash so at least we're not dumping it in our neighboring counties?
No, there isn't. So I think some of the options that people are looking at in lieu of building more landfills is shipping our trash out of state, which, the carbon footprint that you create when you do that is terrible. It's not a good solution for us. So I think we really need to look at a paradigm shift in how we approach waste in this state. which I see as an incredible opportunity. I mean, I'm actually excited about the opportunity because I think there's a lot of room here, not only to change our behavior, but to build infrastructure that can actually, be useful to people who are recycling and incentivize reuse and people cutting down on waste and understanding how we have to deal with waste. All these states that are around us are also really bad about recycling and have landfill problems. So it really is like a first mover opportunity for whoever takes advantage of material aggregation and distribution to really create an incredible and vibrant business opportunity, which is why our bill is called Tennessee Waste to Jobs.
I can hear your dog in the background who hates trash as well.
Yeah, you can
What's
hear
your
my
dog's
name? Poe.
Poe. I
like
love it.
Like Edgar Allan. Yeah.
Poe's into recycling. We hear you. We hear you, Poe.
He is.
All right. So my next question is in honor of my grandfather. Why can't we just burn our trash like people used to back in the day?
Yeah, I know. That's such a Tennessee question. So I think that, we have some big problems, environmental concerns about that. The chemicals that puts into the air are really, really toxic and caustic. That's not a good way to deal with it. I even have concerns about, the pyrolysis processes that, ostensibly burn trash safely. I'm not sure I believe that. So I really do think that we need to look at ways that we can actually reduce and recycle material.
Tell us about the Tennessee Waste to Jobs Act. Was this bill before legislature last year? And are you planning to bring it back to session this coming year?
It was filed last year, but we didn't run it in committee. I asked the committee to roll it to this year because I realized that I had some political headwinds. I had some Republicans signed on to the bill, and the governor sent his guys over to ask them to take their names off of it, which is that's even as crazy as Tennessee is, that's not a common occurrence. And that is because the Tennessee Chamber is being pushed really hard to be opposed to it because, the solid waste industry is a $5.2 billion industry in our state. And I think there's a lot of concern about not only that profit being eaten into, but also transparency. They've been doing things the way they want to do it for a long time. So anyway, we're doing the political legwork of trying to work with people to understand that this is truly a circular economic opportunity that benefits everybody. Those guys in the waste industry could make so much money pulling all that material out of landfills. We have companies here that actually paid to produce a video saying that they wanted it. They want the aluminum, they want the glass, they want the plastic. And guess what? With Trump's tariffs, that even got worse because the volatility has made all of those materials even more expensive, and getting them sourced locally is really important for people. So our job is to convince these guys that that is the case. And it's been tough because people don't like change. I get that. But this bill, just to be clear, is a funding mechanism that would bring $300 to $400 million a year to our state for recycling infrastructure and education at no cost to taxpayers. It's paid for entirely by large major brands, not small companies. We have a $2 million cap on it, and companies that make below $2 million wouldn't have to pay, but we're actually going to move that up. We're discussing how much, but we want to make sure that this is really only about big brands. And they already are doing this in 30% of the world. I think people need to understand that this is not a new concept. And so it's a lot like Medicaid expansion. We don't expand Medicaid here, and we end up leaving $1 billion on the table every year for no reason. This is similar. I mean, the cost of this has already been built into the products because they're having to do this in 30% of the rest of the world. So why would we not take advantage of this opportunity to have this funding for infrastructure when we're already kind of paying for it?
Senator, what's the ratio of residential trash to trash generated by those big brands you mentioned, those businesses and corporations?
Just with the big brand packaging alone, we would be eliminating 60% of the trash.
Really?
Yes. So it is amazing how many Coca-Cola bottles and wrappers and major brand items we are throwing away every single day. And that actually compiles a large amount of our residential trash. So I served on the solid waste task force or the solid waste board for Nashville a few years ago when we did a master study, and our waste was particularly organic. So we had a lot of compostable waste. The bill that we're running would create composting facilities for packaging, which that's a minimal amount, but it's a good Kickstarter because really we desperately need to also get composting facilities going. And I think my colleagues on the other side of the aisle actually are very focused on that as well.
Well, I want to get even further into the key benefits of this act. So I know one of the biggest ones is job creation. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are very centrally located. We're perfectly located to be able to drive material aggregation and distribution across the Southeast. And this really is a first mover thing. Whoever passes the first red state extended producer responsibility bill, which is what this is, it's called EPR legislation. Whoever passes that first red state bill is going to be the leader in the space because red states fall in line. Some of the blue states, so far only blue states have passed it, and some of the blue states are having problems because it's over-regulatory. Ezra Klein just wrote a book about this called Abundance that I read, which, he's a liberal, but he's talking about how, blue states can be regulatory to the point where things don't get done. It's, creates bottlenecks. And I think that, this is a space where that's really the case, that we really need to let business run this. It's very business focused because I know that that's what needs to happen to get it passed in Tennessee. But I'm very confident too that brands will be incentivized to do the right thing because it's literally set up so that their costs go down if they do the right thing.
Right.
So to answer your question, it could create thousands of jobs. We estimate 10,000 jobs in Tennessee that it would create once it gets up and running.
Would you explain just a little deeper how this benefits manufacturers, especially the ones who use materials that are being so heavily impacted by tariffs right now?
Yeah. So weird and fun fact is in northern Tennessee, there's this big deposit of ball clay. It's called ball clay. And that's a very rare thing. And apparently that's what you need to make tile. And so we are the tile capital of the country. And a lot of Italian companies came over here and set up these big tile companies, and they need the glass because glass is functionally sand. So they could use all of the glass that we could provide them and more. We could really actually be bringing glass in from other states. That's how badly they need the glass. Right now, we're throwing all that glass in a landfill, and it's just really a waste. I mean, truly, why would we be doing that? We are also, because we're such a regressive state and a right-to-work state, we are a huge manufacturing state, especially for the defense industry. And so we have a lot of aluminum. We have a lot of metal fabrication companies here in Tennessee. They need the aluminum. And now that Trump's tariffs have hit, they need it way more than they did before, which is, we've been working on this bill for 3 years. And so our bill just got way more important to them and to those companies. And then there's our plastics companies here that definitely want the plastic. Our bill is supported by 500 brands. It's supported by Unilever, Mars, Nestle, Danone. A lot of those companies would like to upcycle or recycle that plastic so that we're not throwing it into landfills.
Would this bill change anything for regular citizens of Nashville in terms of what we need to do with our trash and recycling?
I mean, yes. So I used to be the mayor of Oak Hill, and I know that we had different plans in every single area for how we do recycling.
I'm from Oak Hill. I was aware. Yes.
And on top of that, I know that people are questioning all the time whether or not their recycling is really getting recycled, which in some ways it is, but there's a lot of contamination. So I think that part of the process would be, We'd be setting up MRFs, which are, the recycling infrastructure that needs to separate all of the materials. We'd be setting up MRFs across the state that could separate the materials better so that contamination wouldn't be such an issue. But on top of that, education is a component of this. So I think it'll be also about educating people on what's recyclable, what's not, where should each, recycling object go, and those sorts of things. And I think that's important anyway, because, I think people are really confused about that.
What do you say to people who think recycling's just for hippies?
Yeah. Well, I say, hey, there's a lot of money in it. And there's a lot of money being lost when we don't do it. Another thing we've done is we've gone city by city and county by county and figured out how much each city and county will save. In Williamson County, for example, they'll save $17 million a year from this bill because of the stuff that they are not sending to landfills. And then on top of that, of course, there's the upside of the money that people can make off of, repurposing those materials and selling them. So it's an incredible economic generator. So I don't know that that's for hippies. That looks to me like a pretty good business idea.
Well, it's also pretty much the rest of the world. I just got back from Europe, and every town I went to, they had recyclable, trash cans everywhere where you're just sorting, and it's just natural. And then I have friends from Europe come to visit, and they're just embarrassed for us that we are being left behind in this.
It's true. It's so visceral. So
embarrassing.
It's psychological.
Yeah,
I know. You kind of just, you feel it when you're in a city that is doing that and a city that isn't.
Hey, y'all, we know that the Tennessee General Assembly isn't back in session until next year. But we at CityCast Nashville are already preparing for all the great reporting we're going to be bringing you, featuring conversations with legislators like Senator Heidi Campbell, who's joining us today. So if you at home support our work, support local journalism, support the news of the day, why not go ahead and join our exclusive membership program, CityCast Nashville Neighbors? What that gets you, you get ad-free listening, exclusive event emails brought to you by Margaret Kingsbury, our newsletter editor. And my personal favorite thing about our whole membership program is we actually have neighbor hangouts. We have one coming up in the next couple of months, which means that you get to meet me and my team. We get to hang out and actually get to know our neighbors. And that is so very important to us here at CityCast Nashville. We love this city. We love what we do. And we love getting to know the people in this town. So please join us today at membership.citycast.fm. All right, back to my conversation with Senator Heidi Campbell. Well, so I went to the Nashville Film Festival this year, and y'all had a short documentary called From Waste to Wages, Tennessee's Economic Potential in Recycling. And it was up for an award there, which was so cool. Can you tell us about the film, and can our listeners watch it somewhere?
Absolutely. Please do. It's TennesseeWasteToJobs.com, and the Tennessee is TN. So yeah, if you Google Tennessee Waste to Jobs, it'll come up. Please watch the film because I think it's just such a well done film, and I didn't produce it, so I'm not giving myself a compliment there. But the people who did produce it did such a beautiful job of getting a very complicated concept across by showing the end market potential, actually talking to the companies in Tennessee who want these materials. And I think that's a really compelling case because these companies actually paid for the film.
Yeah, it's a great film. Listeners at home, please watch it. We'll put a link to it in our show notes. As exciting as your bill sounds, it feels like it just scratches the surface of the bigger problem, though. There's just too much trash. How are out-of-state waste firms leveraging their corporate influence on our trash?
Big time. Big time is the answer to that question because it's a duopoly. And so, I mean, there are some small waste companies here and there, but the real big guys are Waste Management and Republic. They have, a lot of power and influence over what happens with waste in every state. There's a reason that Tony Soprano's was in the waste business, right? I mean, it's a very, very powerful business, and that's the case in every single state.
Oh, wow. I love that you brought up Sopranos when talking about trash. What do we do, though, Heidi? And don't tell me I need to use a reusable shopping bag at the grocery store. What should we be demanding from our leaders?
Well, okay. So, I mean, we have to get really honest. I've been saying this about not just trash, but every single issue. Look, we have a federal government that is reducing funding for almost everything significantly. And certainly that's happening also in the state. So this state, I am a state senator, and I can tell you right now, is not going to be funding meaningful solutions to this anytime soon. What we do in the state legislature when we're not going to solve a problem is we create a task force, or we create a study. And that is what we've done. We've created a solid waste task force to study this issue. But our landfills are going to be full in 5 years. So we do not have time to not do anything about it. So I think that we really do need to actively and aggressively look for meaningful solutions that will bring a lot of money into the state, which is why I'm running this bill. But I think, also we do need to, as a society, think about reduction and reuse and how we're messaging that. So I think a lot of nonprofits try really hard to do that in our state. We need to empower the people who are already doing that work. And there are some amazing organizations that are doing that work. Tennessee Environmental Council is one of them. They do recycling roundups. I highly encourage anybody out there who's passionate about this issue to volunteer with them, get involved. Sierra Club is also focused on this. And it's just going to take, not just with trash, but with everything, it's going to take all of us.
Thank you for joining us today at CityCast Nashville. I love talking trash with you.
Same here. Thank you.
We look forward to following how this bill does in the session next year.
Great. Anybody out there who wants to come on board and help, we've got a fabulous team. I promise it'll be fun.
And if they want to, get involved, how could they?
Go to our Tennessee Waste to Jobs website, and there is a sign up there, and we would love to have you on board.
All right. We'll put that again in the show notes. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!